Hello everybody and welcome. In today's video, we're going to be talking about striker archetypes in FM24. And let's get started with an overview. There are multiple striker roles that you can use in a tactic, and all of them will bring something different. And for the purposes of today's video, we're going to be talking about these striker roles in a very broad sense. Since there are so many variations of players, their attributes, their traits, the tactic they play in, and so on, everything we go over will be a general idea rather than a hard-written rule. And with that out of the way, I consider there to be three types of striker role archetypes: the ones that lead the line, the ones that drop, and the wild cards. The ones that lead the line are strikers that are focused mostly on scoring, getting on the end of passes, and don't help too much with the build-up. These would be roles like the advanced forward, the poacher, and the pressing forward on attack. The strikers that drop are ones that will move into the midfield. They will help with the build-up, and they need a role partner, whether it's another striker or a midfielder, who will help take up the scoring focus. These roles would be like the deep-lying forward, the target forward, the false nine, and the pressing forward on support or defend. And finally, the wild cards. These are strikers that do a bit of everything, or they do their own thing, like the complete forward, like the Trequartista. Okay, so we have our striker archetypes, but what's the reason? Why would we think about different striker roles with this archetype theory? Well, the reason is that a striker archetype can be substituted for another one from the same group without upsetting what works in the tactic. Any striker in the drop category can be easily substituted for each other without needing a tactical rebalance. So if you have a tactic with a deep-lying forward, you could easily slot in a target forward or false nine. Likewise, any striker that leads the line can be changed out depending on the player used in the role or how you want your tactic to play out. A pressing forward on attack could easily be swapped out for an advanced forward. Obviously, this is a general philosophy because different striker roles have different role duties, which can change the way they play. A deep-lying forward, for example, has both the support and attack duty, which can blend the way the striker role plays out in the tactic. But again, we're looking at a very broad sense, so let's head to the next section and talk about specific examples. When building a tactic, I like to make sure every player role has a specific job in the tactic, and they all work together to form a cohesive system. So if I have one player role creating movement, I like to have another role creating opposite movement, and then a role with movement based off that, and so on. Here's a 4-4-2, where obviously we've got two strikers, the poacher and the false nine. In this system, the false nine dropping into the midfield is an integral part of how the tactic plays out. The segundo volante on attack, on the same side as the false nine, will swap with the striker and become a de facto striker themselves. The libero then takes up a spot in the midfield. The winger stays out wide to be another attacking threat. Meanwhile, the poacher will stay up top and lead the line, which clears out space for the wide playmaker. You get the idea. Every role works with one another. Here's an in-game example. We're on the ball in the midfield, attacking from left to right. Here is the false nine, and next to him is the segundo volante on attack. The libero has pushed up into the midfield, and the winger gives us our width. When the play starts, watch the false nine drop into the midfield, while the segundo volante holds that secondary striker spot. This movement creates a dynamic passage of play for our winger, who then gets the goal. So with this tactic, the striker dropping into the midfield is essential to how the tactic plays out. But not every player is fit for a false nine player role, which is why I love thinking about striker archetypes. I can substitute a player role for the false nine, while still keeping what works everywhere else. Here's another variation, nearly the exact same tactic. But now, we've got a deep-lying forward on support and an advanced forward. Sure, it's different player roles, but I've swapped out two striker roles for two other roles from the same archetype, so the tactic won't lose what works, while also being able to take advantage of different players in the squad. Here's another example. We're on the ball in our own half. This role here is the deep lying forward on support, and again this is the segundo volante on attack. And like the other one, the striker will drop into the midfield. He'll be replaced by the segundo volante, and our winger will take advantage of this movement. And like the poacher, an advanced forward will stay up top, lead the line, and wait to get on the end of passes. And we could keep going. I could make more of a pressing system by using 2 pressing forwards while still keeping the same idea. The other 2 strikers we haven't talked too much about are the complete forward and the Trequartista. The complete forward has a support and attack duty, which gives it elements of what we've talked about so far. But like their name suggests, the complete forward is an amalgamation of all the other roles in the striker family, so it's hard to pin down exactly what they're going to do at any given time. And generally, a squad isn't filled with a bunch of players who can play the complete forward role, so it's a bit more specialized. Here's a tactic with Bayern Munich with Harry Kane as a complete forward. And because it's so demanding, I've got the role personalized just for Harry Kane when he plays in this spot in this tactic. This is an example kind of what I was talking about. No goal will be scored, but you'll see the movement of the complete forward, even on support. Like the others, we're on the ball in the midfield. This is Harry Kane as the complete forward. Watch how, unlike the false 9 and the deep lying forward, the complete forward, again even on support, doesn't specifically drop into the midfield. Instead, when it goes out wide, he attacks the goal. The last striker role is the Trequartista, and they don't really follow the same rules as the other striker roles. Because they're a playmaker positioned higher up the field, they really do their own thing. I did a video with the Trequartista specifically in the striker position, so if you'd like some more information on that, I'll link it down below. The last example we'll look at is a back 3 formation with a single striker but 2 attacking midfielders. The archetype philosophy still follows the same idea, and it's arguably even more important in a tactic like this, with so many midfielders and movement. We want to keep in mind what our striker is going to do, and where he'll be, to help keep room for all his teammates. Keep an eye on the poacher and how he leads the line, eventually scoring the goal. So, let's bring back the player role quiz, and this one's just for you. Can you name some other striker play roles that we could easily substitute for the poacher without upsetting what works in the tactic? As we wrap up, hopefully this gives you a good idea on striker archetypes and how you can adjust your tactic without upsetting what already works. If you'd like some player role shirts or maybe a digital FM planner, you can check out the Half Space Apparel online store. I've also got a Patreon account if you'd like to support the channel. Anyway, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.